Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for the Getting Involved on Campus featuring a former D1 athlete session. This is part of the virtual college exploration for all Illinois students, and this is sponsored by the Illinois Association for College Admissions Counseling, as well as StriveScan. So before we get into the presentation, I just want to quickly cover some housekeeping items. The first being that if you have questions, there is a Q&A button to type your questions into the presenters, so you guys can take advantage of that. Additionally, just know that your camera and your microphone are off for this session, so the panelists are not able to see or hear you. Furthermore, this is just one of many of the college presentations that we are offering. So you can check out the schedule and you can sign up for some additional sessions at www.iacac.org. And then lastly, there will be a recording available for this session. All of these sessions are being recorded, and again, those are all going to be available at www.iacac.org. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to our presenters.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Notham, and I'm one of our senior admission counselors at St. Louis University. I've been at SLU for almost 5 years now. Prior to that, I was a high school teacher in the St. Louis area. So I've experienced on both on the high school side and the college side of college admissions. Today, the plan is to talk a little bit about getting involved in campus. What does that look like? What do we have involved for a wide range of students across several different college campuses? And so we have a good mix here today of some of the panelists. Before we begin, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Thomas Romine, and I am from Southeast Missouri State University, or SEMO for short. I've been an admission counselor here for about 2 years now, and I am a SEMO alum. Just a little bit different background there. I have a military background and a fine arts background, and so I get to specialize with both of those groupings of students while working with my colleagues here at SEMO. Really excited to present today. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Micah.
Hi everyone, my name is Micah Jones. I'm also an admission counselor for Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville. I've been a part of the SIUE family for about 6 years, but I just started working there last year. I also played basketball there for about 6 years. I was a double redshirt senior. I also got my master's degree from there in college student personnel administration and my bachelor's in psychology with a minor of criminal justice.
Awesome, thank you guys. So I'll handle kind of the first section is simply going over, what types of campus organizations, exist on college campuses across the country. The examples that I'm pulling from today are examples that we do offer at St. Louis University, but just know that pretty much I try to stick with some general ones that you would typically see at most college campuses ranging from small, medium to large universities. So this is to give you a nice overview of what is offered. Now, quite honestly, it's going to be very similar to different types of organizations you might see at the high school level. There's just a lot more of them, as well as they can be more specific to targeting different specific groups as well. So first ones that you kind of see that we do offer are going to be just kind of general student life. This is are typically what you often think of like, I want to join a club, I want to join another organization. These are often the first ones that students tend to think about. And what these encompass are things like Amnesty International, a commuter student organization. So it's ways to, a commuter student organization is to help students who commute to your university's campus to have a group of students because, they're not living on campus, like where it's easy to form a community within a residence hall. Oftentimes, many college campuses have like a commuter lounge or a commuter study area for a place where to give commuting students who live at home and commute to the university a place to kind of, spend some free time while they're on their campus in between classes and things like that. And then obviously a major one is going to be a student government association. I know at St. Louis University, our student government association is very active on campus, and our administration definitely uses them as a way to gauge the student perspective on major issues facing campus. So whenever we're talking about different things that we want to get different input from different groups across campus. We typically seek out the Student Government Association and their representatives there to provide some student feedback. So they actually have a much larger voice than what you might think of like a high school Student Government Association. And so you are able to provide that to them for that. So there's that option there for that. Also, there's a lot of great diversity and different identity groups, so helping students really find a niche on their campus, really helping them be able to find a specific group that they can identify with. And so it might be an ethnic or racial background like the Indian Student Association, the Asian American Association, the Black Student Alliance, offering different groups of students a way to find a group that they can identify with and help form a community with on our campus here at St. Louis University, as well as across other organizations. We also have like the Rainbow Alliance for LGBT students, again, helping those students find different groups of students to help find support and find that social support groups that you want to pursue across your whole campus. Often universities will have service or faith-based organizations as well. At St. Louis University, we do have Muslim Student Association, which is where a group where all of our Islamic students can kind of come together and have their own groups, be able to meet together and have put on different events. A lot of these different kind of cross-cultural groups also give students an opportunity to share their culture. It's not meant to be just an insular group. Oftentimes they're putting on events to help share their backgrounds and kind of provide their perspective on different things, or they're bringing in guest speakers to campus and to allow those students to learn not just about that campus organization, but just about what they're for, what they stand for, and different things like that. St. Louis University, we are very active in service and social justice, so we do have a lot of great service groups on campus. Probably one of the more popular ones is what's called our campus kitchen. It's an on-campus kitchen where we take essentially leftover food in the cafeteria that that is perfectly healthy to eat, but just was not consumed by the students or staff. They repackage that and to give to needy and homeless families in the area, or they make sack lunches for some of the area school districts as well. And students just kind of volunteer their time and wanted to give back to those communities and different organizations. The Overground Railroad to Literacy is an opportunity for students to get involved in the St. Louis community. And so this allows students to go out into like the St. Louis public schools and provide tutoring to like middle school and elementary age students to give them an opportunity to maybe increase their literacy, or just to provide a kind of near age tutor to help them become academically successful in their schoolwork. And so we encourage students to do that. And then lastly, we do have our major or program specific clubs and organizations. And this is what you think of with German club, a foreign language club, or like Spanish club, anthropology, a pre-optometry club. Oftentimes your pre-professional organizations will have their own clubs. So like a pre-medicine club, a pre-dental club. Again, these are all ways to help you connect with different students across campus. Another great one on our campus is the Society of Women Engineers. Obviously, we are always trying to pursue having more women represented in STEM careers, and this is one way to help our women engineering majors to be able to have a group of students to help support them and get through these courses together. So they provide great opportunities. Some of the things to be aware of, but this will be kind of touched on by Micah and Thomas, are things like Greek life, as well as playing sports on campus. Will cover a lot of Division I, but know that most universities are going to have a version of club or intramural sports as well. If you're not quite that Division I athlete, but you still want to participate in competitions, more of like intramurals are more like rec league style with your friends, and club sports tend to be still competitive, but typically not often competing at the Division I level. It's usually student-led and organized, and is not quite the same time commitment. So if you want to go to a big Division I school and you're not a big Division I athlete, you still have those opportunities to have a little bit more level of competition for that. Well, and the question we get oftentimes is, that's great that your university has like 200 clubs and organizations. It's like, how do we know about this? How do we learn about these different clubs and organizations? At St. Louis University and most universities across the country are going to have their own version of this, is going to be like a student organization fair. So it's going to be a way for you as a new incoming student to be able to see what all the different campus organizations that they have. And so some of the images that I've added to this slide kind of shows you that, it's kind of like, just you're kind of like a college fair, but it's just to be for student organizations. They're going to be current members of that student organization there to help you explain what their organization is. Typically they have a sign-up sheet, so if you want to receive emails from these organizations to learn more about them or learn about their different events that they put on, then it allows you the opportunity to do so. I talked to some current students and they literally just go to every single booth and like just put their email down for everything and just get updated on everything, just because they want to know what's going on campus, whether or not they're actually going to be active in that club organization. They just kind of want to be involved and just leave their options open for that. At SLU, we do put on a student organization fair in the fall during our fall welcome, which was the first few weeks of school. This year, it was a digital fair. As you can kind of see that bottom image that I took it from the Student Organization Center, sort of Student Involvement Center for our campus, is that we typically have an in-person fair, but obviously with everything going on, we switched to a virtual fair to allow, even in the current world that we live in, a way for students to find about these different campus organizations by talking with and contacting those students and organizations. In a typical year, what we try to do is have all these different campus organizations have like ice cream toppings on top of it. And then you as a new student are getting a bowl of ice cream and you go around to the different student organizations and are able to find out about that and get a little extra ice cream toppings there. So it's typically pretty fun. We like to think so. And so that's kind of a great way to get involved, is to just be aware that it's going to be a lot of similar clubs and organizations that you'll see at your high school. There's just going to be more of them, as well as more just very specific kind of cross-cultural groups and different backgrounds that you're more than welcome to join and learn about, to provide a lot of different opportunities for your personal growth and just kind of to get a better understanding of what's going on in the world. With that, that'll kind of do it for covering the general topic. I'll now pass it to Micah to talk about more specifically about athletics and that in college. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to give you a little rundown about our athletics and then just tell you about my experience in general. So at SIUE, we are Division I now. We have 16, but before that, we had 16 Division II national championships in men's soccer, softball, men's tennis, women's tennis, and wrestling. We're a member of the Ohio Valley Conference and affiliated member of the Mid-American Conference in men's soccer and wrestling. Men's soccer Division I national championships, homecoming soccer, and we have 14 NCAA appearances. We offer for men's sports, baseball, basketball, cross country, golf, soccer, track and field, and wrestling. And for women's sports, we have basketball, cross country, soccer, softball, tennis, track, field, and volleyball. So my experience at SIUE, we had, there were so many different things that they gave us, really. So like not just basketball, but athletes in general. So we had academic support. So we'd go to this thing and it was called study tables. We'd have it, depending on your coach and depending on your grades, so many hours. So like freshman year, everyone usually has 8 hours. So you'd have to kind of check in to make sure you're doing all your academic work. And we had like our own people and like our own tutors and advisors to help us like get through our classes. We also would go to other athletes' athletic performances and we'd have little competitions like within the other teams. So we'd have a thing called Cougar Cup. Cougar Cup's basically just like this big old bragging rights in between all the athletes. So when you go to other games, if you go to the games, you get points. The more of your team that goes, the more points you get. And if you dress up, you get more points. If you're loud and rowdy, you get more points. So it's just kind of fun. And then we have SAC. That's our Student Athlete Advisory Committee. It's like the bridge between like our coaches and the athletes, and they just have these like growth development programs that we work on just to try to help all of our athletes and see where we're going to go and see what the coaches want from them. We have our own sports medicine. So obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I was a double redshirt senior. I had torn my ACL 3 times trying to play this sport. And we had our own people, like our own doctors who did the surgery, and then we had our own trainers who would take care of us that would help me do my therapy and things like that. And we have our student athlete handbook. That's just basically telling us all the rules that we can and cannot do with athletics. And then we'd always have to go through like compliance meetings. I loved my experience at SIUE because like specifically with basketball, I met all these amazing girls, and me being there so long, I really got to watch them like grow up kind of, I felt, because one girl on the team calls me Nana because I'm so old after being there. It was just interesting to watch how all these people change, but the game never does. It's still, everyone's just trying to win and you just got to play hard, but it gives you lifelong friends, honestly. And I really wouldn't have traded it for anything, even though I can barely do stairs now because of my knees. But there are different ways to go about it if you guys are thinking about getting involved. So one of the ways you could do it is my little tips for that I had written down for you guys in case you guys were curious. But you need to inform your high school coaches of your intent to try out for collegiate sports. Then you need to reach out to the coaches as early as possible that you can. It's usually, I think, your sophomore year. There's like a dead period though where the coaches can't contact you. So if you don't get like sad if like you messaged a certain month and they didn't answer, you may have just done it during that period, and so they might get back to you later. But for us, you can visit siuecougars.edu to learn more about our athletics program. You can so just look up whatever program you want. You can fill out your prospective athletic form on the websites usually. You can visit the NCAA website to learn about your sports cycles, and these usually correspond with the season of the sport. And then you can complete the next steps at coach and athletic discretion depending on which sport. But also, things that you can do for the coaches. You should reach out to them reach out to the assistant coaches instead of the head coaches. You should use email rather than phone for more thorough and dependable responses. At SIUE, your scholarships for sports and academics stack. So if you get a half a ride, like even like $2,000, and let's say if you get our Cougar Pride scholarship, like that's what that means by stack. You can put them together for like your total of like $6,000, and then can be taken off your bill. You can develop an athletic resume, highlight tape as early as you can, probably your freshman year, but that's just so you can get enough, honestly, unless you're like, well, probably all are all really amazing athletes, but I'd probably start putting it in like your junior year. Like that's the good clips like to send. But then what else do we need to do? Coaches usually know which students they will recruit by their junior year, if not earlier. So start all these processes early. NCAA deadlines come quick and are often confusing or difficult to navigate. And then you can join club leagues for more experience in field time and higher recruitment chances. I am actually the liaison for our Division I athletics. So if people are curious or like want to talk to one of the, not the coaches or one of the teams, just to try to get like your foot in the door, I'd be the person to talk to. And I'm actually more than happy to do it. But so yeah, that's all I have for you guys on that. I'm going to hand it on over.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. So happy to hear about just the different opportunities at just different great schools with some wonderful colleagues as well. So again, my name is Thomas from SEMO down in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Greek life. There are so many different options and opportunities when it comes to Greek life, and my goal with you all today is to kind of clarify what those different styles of Greek life are, how they're different, how do you join, what are the requirements, kind of see at the bottom there, those big basic questions. So first thing I want to do is kind of break it down into 3 categories. There are actual different styles. It's not all the same thing. I know that was kind of what I thought whenever I was in high school and just kind of looking at potential ways to get involved and go to college. Whenever you hear Greek life, you're probably picturing the social organizations, which is kind of what they're informally called. Those social organizations are the ones that you're typically seeing the letters around campus. You're hearing, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. You're hearing a lot of campus engagement and community revolving around that. So whenever you're hearing that, you're probably picturing those social ones. There's different types, as you can see under there. You have IFC, Nphc, and Nphc. So IFC, that Interfraternity Council, these are your fraternities. So these are the groups that are primarily men. Those are going to be the men with their Greek letters. They're focusing on brotherhood. They're doing a lot of philanthropy events. They're having social gatherings on campus. You know, it might be a barbecue to try to get people in. It might be have a table with a welcome back picnic. You know, but those are primarily those groups of men. Nphc, the National Panhellenic Conference, these are going to be the groups of ladies. So these are going to be your sororities on campus. So right off the bat, that's a pretty basic difference in those social organizations, having fraternity versus sorority. Kind of the basics, but now I'm going to get into a little bit more details with you. Lastly, on the social organization side, you're going to have Nphc, which is, I know it's almost the same exact name, and that can be a little confusing for some people, so I want to break that down. It's National Panhellenic still, but it has that dash in there. Even though it has such a similar name, they're actually two completely different types of social organizations. So Nphc is actually our 9 historical Black African-American fraternities and sororities. So they actually have fraternities and sororities in this grouping, but it's specifically a historically Black and African-American group. Whereas your interfraternity or your National Panhellenic Conference, those are just fraternities versus sororities, and there's not that historical background to it. They're more generalized with that brotherhood and sisterhood aspect. So a lot of good opportunities across the board there. And then next thing I want to do is break down a few other groupings of Greek life, and then we'll kind of come back and talk about the pros and cons of each of them, how to get involved in all across the board. So after you look at all those social organizations, there are different styles still. You have service fraternities and sororities. As you can see on the screen there, they're typically based around service or community service. These are going to be a lot less restrictive when it comes to requirements. We'll get there in a second, but they're not, worried about GPA requirements. They're not near as active as the social counterparts. They may also be co-ed. So as you can kind of see, those service fraternities and sororities are pretty laid back and go with the flow. There's not as much structure, not as much involvement there, but they're really good opportunities if you have done a lot of community service, if you've done a lot of those type of events in high school. So that'd be a good way to extend that out. As well as professional fraternities. This was talked about a little bit earlier with getting involved on campus with on-campus clubs. This is almost like a more professional version of a student club. Again, more laid back, more kind of go with the flow, but they're going to be based around educational programs. So you might see a professional fraternity for chemistry majors or for business majors. This is going to focus more on networking, making connections, meeting future colleagues, kind of really putting your foot in the door and get yourself out there in a specific field. Again, very non-restrictive when it comes to joining and the requirements. So those are your basics. That's kind of the basic differences between the different styles of Greek life. But I kind of want to come back now and talk about more differences between them all to help the understanding. So on those social organizations, when most people say, I want to go Greek or I want to join a Greek organization, again, that's what they're thinking about. There are some requirements there, and I want to talk about how the rush process works, or rush is kind of that slang term for joining, right? How that works is you are going to have GPA requirements. So that is something to keep in mind, to keep on the back burner. Basic GPA requirements you're going to see with the IFC and the Nphc, those social fraternities and sororities. They're going to have a little bit different, but it starts at a 2.5. So 2.5 out of 4.0, that's going to be your minimum to be able to join a Greek life organization, specifically at SEMO, but you're going to see this pretty similar across the board. That 2.5 is for fraternities, and then you're going to see that sororities actually require a 2.75. However, to get a bid to be offered to join, those sororities actually like to see 3.0 or better. They're pretty competitive, especially, again, this is more of a SEMO example, but tends to be similar across the board. So just keeping in mind that at a minimum, a 2.5 GPA. The Nphc organizations are also looking for that 2.5 or higher, but again, they do pride themselves in liking to see a little bit higher. So how the rush process works, how to join Greek life, how to join a social organization. It's going to be a little different between fraternities and sororities. So I'll start out with the fraternities since they're at the top of the screen. Fraternities are very laid back in the rush process. They're allowed to have a little bit more freedoms, organization to organization. So one fraternity's recruitment can look different from the other one. Primarily, if you're looking to get involved, I really recommend going to whatever that welcome back picnic or that student involvement fair looks like at your respective college. But going to that, you're going to see all the different organizations. They're going to be advertising how they're recruiting or how and what events they're having. It's also very common to see flyers around campus. So you very well may see one fraternity having, you know, a game night or barbecue or, you know, getting together to watch a sporting event, all different things. So now on the sorority side, they're going to be much more structured, a lot more formal. So with the fraternity side, it's kind of like you're free to roam around and go to different events throughout the week, whatever you want to do. On the sorority side, you actually sign up for recruitment. It's a formal process. And when you sign up for sorority recruitment, you're being paired with what's called a Pi Chi. A Pi Chi is a sorority woman that has gone neutral for the process of rush. So you don't know what sorority she's in. You just know she's a sorority woman. And she's going to be gathering a group of people. The sizing at SEMO is usually about 15 or less per group. And you actually go through rush week with your Pi Chi and with your respective group. What that looks like is you meet every single sorority the first night of rush week. And then each night you go back and you're meeting the sororities, however, you're narrowing down your list. So, you know, let's say there's 12 different social sororities. You meet all 12 of them the first night. And then you make a list of kind of your own priorities of which one's your favorite, which one's your least favorite. And then the sororities are doing the same thing. So the idea is to match you up with sororities that also like you and you like them. And by the second to last night, you're meeting with your two favorites. You're meeting with those top two choices. So by the time you get to the last day, there's more of a formal invite process, which is known as a bid. When you get offered a bid, that's when you can choose to accept or not. Similar over to the fraternity side, they also will offer bids at the end of the week. But as I said, now you kind of see the differences that fraternities are more informal, sororities are more formal. And then get over to the Nphc. Nphc organizations, they're a little bit different in the fact that your social, you know, fraternities and sororities we talked about, they can try to actually recruit, advertise, get you to join freshman year. Nphc organizations, they actually pride themselves in not recruiting until sophomore year. So you're actually not allowed to join an Nphc organization until you're a sophomore at your respective college. It's taken a little bit more seriously, and that's one of the reasons why, but they actually take it very seriously, and that it's someone that has been involved, has been around, maybe they've done same community service events, maybe you know, they've had some friends that are involved there, but it's definitely more of a vetting process there, and it is taken a little bit more seriously when you join that, that brotherhood and sisterhood they're looking for. So they're also going to be a little bit more laid back on having flyers up, posting events, inviting people out. It's not that formal process that the Nphc, the sororities, had. I know that was a lot of information. I hope that helped and kind of going through how to join and what the requirements were. Talking about the service fraternities and sororities, those professional ones, how to join there and what the requirements are. You're typically not going to see GPA requirements, long as you're a student and you're in good standing at your respective university. So typically that means a 2.0 or higher is good standing at your university. Of course, we'd like to see you higher than that, but that's usually what that good standing means. So long as you are that student in good standing, you can join any of those. They're very laid back. Again, just showing up to events. So I know that was quite a lot. Like I said, I hope it helps as we start to break it down. We are going to have a little question and answer session for all three of us. And I guess if you want to go ahead and advance the slide, I'll go ahead and share my contact info, and then I'll pass it off and let everybody else do the same. So we each put our info up there. If you're wanting to contact me about SEMO, Greek life, questions about college, I'm always happy to help. You can see I'm at the bottom there, my email, and that's my mobile university phone. So you can actually call or text that. I'm always happy to help. So I'll mute myself here and pass it on over. I guess we'll start back at the top with Mark there.
All right. Well, like I said, my name is Mark Notham. I'm a senior admission counselor at St. Louis University. I have my email address as well as my phone line there. You can call or text that. It will work both ways. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about St. Louis University. If I end up not being your admission counselor, I can also point you in the direction of whoever is your admission counselor here at SLU.
Again, hi, I'm Micah Jones from Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, aka SIUE. Yep, I have my phone number, email there as well. Same thing as what Mark had said. If I'm not your academic advisor, or yeah, your admission counselor, sorry, I don't know why I said that today, but I will find the person that is. If you guys have any questions just about our sports in general, I am the liaison, so I can try to help you guys out.
All right, there is a question in the chat, and maybe Mike, you want to take care of this one. It's asking about how do they make a athlete resume for colleges?
I believe they're talking about highlight tapes when they're doing that. So that's just like all the little clips. And honestly, I feel like everyone can use social media these days. So I feel like you honestly could probably put together your own if you wanted to. Like, you just got to find all these little clips and talk about like the places, or not the places, just the videos that you played in. But also I put on like the other teams. If you do any travel basketball, or I don't know what sport you're doing, so I'm just using basketball as an example. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I'd also just put whatever club teams you played on there as well. And then just, yeah, send in a little clip like that. It's really simple. I don't know why it's $90. It's NCAA. Never mind. That's probably why.
And if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. We still do have a few minutes, and we'd love to chat with you some more. We can all just kind of hang out here and wait to see if any more pop in. Well, I guess that means we did a good job. We'll give it another minute. Somebody might still be typing on there.
Yeah. Well, as you guys are maybe figure out those sorts of things out, I'll make another quick note just about the general as well, the general clubs, organizations to look into. Let's say you happen to miss that student involvement fair. You will have the opportunity to, every campus has their own version of what's called, we at SLU we call the Student Involvement Center, but every campus has their own version of that that works with student affairs to make sure that students have access and information to all the different organizations. We have a website called SLU Groups that literally shows all of our different clubs, organizations, that allows you to find all the different students there for that. And so you do have a lot of great opportunities. It's not for a lack of information. If you've toured college campuses already or been in college campuses, you see that there's flyers everywhere. Those are all put up on the different campus organizations. And so we do have a question in the chat asking, will there be on-campus tours? So obviously right now, there's a lot of different information going out there, and every university will be different. And so some universities have been offering campus tours for a little bit now. Some of them have just started reopening the campus tours, and some haven't even opened yet for campus tours. So the best way to find out about campus tours and the university that you're interested in, contact your admission counselor or contact that university to see what they're offering. I can say for SLU, we just started offering campus tours again this month in a very limited capacity. It's like 4 people per tour. It's probably one family of most 4 people. Like if you're a family of 6 people, they'll ask you to split into 2 different groups. So it's a very limited capacity. So other universities have similar protocols for that. But that's going to be dependent on the other institutions. I'll let Thomas and Micah comment about SEMO and SIUE.
Yeah, great answer there. With it being different university, and plus it's going to matter on the region of the state too. At SEMO, we are offering on-campus tours. We are a little bit more flexible. We've been blessed to be okay and be able to have safety measures in place and be able to have in-person classes and tours as normal. You know, some of those safety measures, though, when we do have people visiting, we are keeping 6 feet apart, especially from family unit to family unit. Everyone has a mask on. But yeah, always happy to have on. We have different styles of it though. So if people are not comfortable with coming in person, we do have virtual tours, which I'm sure my colleagues have some virtual opportunities with them as well. I'll pass it on over to Micah.
Oh, we do have visits going on right now as well, but like they're saying, we're pretty limited on how many people we let in there. We have 10 total, but it's all split up into 3 different groups, but we don't even have 10 people. It's always just like 6 people, but we do have visits online, so you can do it that way too, your preference.
Right on. Well, I think another thing from my end, and then we can kind of pass it around and see what it looks like with you all at your respective schools too. We do have some specific visit days coming up as well. So at SEMO, we have some fall visit days where we're actually going to be splitting up based on your major. You can come in person and be split up by that respective department. And we're doing a virtual exploration as well. And I'll kind of throw out that, reach out to me. I can help set you up with those dates and have a few of those events, but maybe we go around and highlight if there's any virtual events or in person going on, and that will give us time for more questions. If not, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, so at SLU, we are still not having any on-campus events. We are located right in the middle of the city of St. Louis, and so being located right in the middle of the city, we are on a bit more restrictive guidelines set forth by the city. So we just right now, if you want to visit our campus, and that's the limited campus tours is what we have. But we do have a full slate of virtual options that we've been working very hard to make it a very engaging experience. Obviously, we've all experienced we're on Zoom all day. We're all pretty used to that, so we definitely understand how that goes. But we do offer virtual tours, and we also have the option of a virtual guided tour by one of our ambassadors. And so if you wanted that kind of tour experience with the tour guides taking you around campus, we even offer that for a virtual tour. And so we do offer some specific kind of visit events or information sessions. The best way to go about that is going to our visit website at visit.slu.edu, and you'll be able to see the full slate of different virtual visit days and options that we are offering students this fall.
For us, we do have certain programs that are doing things on campus right now, but nothing like too packed, so like they're filling up pretty quick. Again, we still have a lot of different things for virtual. We have a couple evening night visits for our students. They're usually on Thursdays, I believe, from 5 to 6:30. But you can look up all of those dates to our siue.edu/visits. I don't think we have anything too new going on for us right now, except we are for the following school semester for fall 21, 22, I believe. We are not requiring your guys' SAT or your ACT scores now.
Yeah, that's awesome. If we could each touch on that as well and see if there's any questions there. I think test optional is definitely important, and you should definitely ask your respective college what they have to offer there. We're excited to expand ours out as well. We are test optional. I don't want to get into the weeds there with you, but we've been doing that since 2018, and we keep expanding it more and more, and always happy to offer where it's more weight on your GPA for sure.
St. Louis University also has made the switch this year. Many other universities have due to COVID-19. We are a test optional university as well, so you do not need to submit a test score to St. Louis University. And we've been very adamant about making sure that you have equal access. So we're test optional for all of our programs. So that includes our competitive programs like our nursing and physical therapy programs, as well as like our special like scholars and honors and scholars programs as well. You can apply to St. Louis University, test optional, without a test score, and still be considered for all the same scholarships and programs that a student would apply for with a test score. So that's a really great opportunity there for that.
All right. Any other questions? Feel free to pop them in, or we might just wrap it up a few minutes early here, give you time to get prepped and log on to your next one. Awesome. Well, I hope to see applications from all of you to all three of us, all three universities. I think whatever you choose, they're all amazing. I can definitely say I've had great experience working with both Mark at SLU and Micah at SIUE. So hope to hear from them that you guys applied there, and I hope to see them at SEMO too. If no other questions, I guess we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Awesome. And guys, thank you so much for coming out. Just know that you can easily get involved on any college campus, wherever you go. There's going to be organizations for you to join, whether it's Greek life, whether it's athletics, whether it's just your general campus organizations. There is a place for you. And honestly, I know at SLU, it's just a simple application to start your own club organization on campus. And so the best way to get involved in campus is to start, getting yourself out there. But studies have shown that when students are involved in campus, they tend to be more successful in the classroom while they're there. There's an engagement factor, there's a buy-in factor, there's a social support factor. You're able to find your groups on campus to really help you out. So again, guys, thank you for coming out today and get involved.
So a big thank you for all of our presenters for presenting for today's session. And thank you again to everybody that had attended. Just as a reminder, once this session ends, so we'll end this as soon as I'm done giving this little recap here, but once I end this, there is going to be a very quick 4-question survey. So if you could please complete that survey, that would be really helpful for us. Additionally, again, check the schedule on IACAC.org to see if there's any other sessions of interest. And just keep in mind that if you missed some of today's session, or if you think you have a friend that would benefit from seeing today's session, the recordings will be available. And again, those are going to be available at www.iacac.org. Thank you everyone for attending today.